working on making Europeana a real and true multilingual system, so users can really find, irrespectively of their language, native language, and irrespective of the language of the objects that are indexed. So the goal of Europeana Connect was really supporting all users from everywhere to find content in Europeana and serve all communities and individuals of various cultures and language groups. And if we disregard the culture level, there is still remaining the language groups. And for Europe, that means, if you look at this picture, I don't know if you can see it really good, that everything started pretty easy with one language, and then we just go down and see that it's various user groups you have to serve, and you have to find out what these users are actually doing. Because if you don't know what they are doing, you can't really support them by finding something. So our approach first when we started with Work Package 2 was we conducted a user survey with a small group of students and asked them about their preferences for languages, means interface language, about their native language. And as most studies, we found out that most users like to access the website in their preferred language. Means they would like to change the interface language, they would like to have machine translation, and on and on. But we thought, now we know that, we want to look at the log files and find out what they are actually doing in contrast to what they are saying. Because it is also a well-known fact that the interface language is not very often switched to the preferred language. So gathering language information from log files, we can, for example, extract the country of origin, taking from the IP address, and transfer that again into the official language of this country. This poses challenges, especially for countries that have more than one language, but still it is an indicator. The interface language and, of course, the actual interface language change via drop-down menu or via an external referrer, because we found out that a lot of people that just access through links via search engine result pages in their preferred language. And of course, it's also interesting to look into the browser locale and find out what kind of agent is the person using, and is there any correlation between these kind of language informations. And especially for Europeana, it's interesting to find out, are users actually using the language and country facets to find out, stuff that's in the language or that's coming from their content providers from their countries. So what we've done so far is we looked at Europeana as a portal and extracted 10-month data sets from August 2010 to May 2011. And we did that because of the search engine optimization, means 5 months before and 5 months after that, to find out if there's actually a difference in user behavior and if we can find any trends. So in this data set, we have 46 million page views. And this results, again, in more than 44 billion indicators that we have to analyze. And you can imagine that this is already a lot of data, only 10 months. Not as much as Work Package 3 is dealing with, but still a lot of data. So what we did was just programming a log analyzer that loads the logs into a Mongo database, a document-based database, translates the IP addresses immediately to country, and in the end reconstructs users and sessions, so we can also talk about sessions and not only about page views. In the end, we have these statistic reports, which are pretty nice, but still don't give us a really big picture, and we can't really see immediately what's happening there. As we heard before, that it is very important that we as a user and also we as non-computer scientists can see immediately what's happening there. So many of you might know Hans Rosling, who is using Gapminder to present world statistics about poverty. And through this Gapminder, he's showing his students actually what's happening, and he's showing correlations, and people can get an idea and a picture what happens together and what doesn't correlate. So as we heard in our first talk, numbers don't give us the impression, and that's why we need to visualize it. So what we've did, I just want to show two examples what we've done so far. So here we have the page views for our 10-month data set, and you can see there the bubbles I showed. The blue bubble is all page views, and then we have the English ones, and all the others that you can almost not see all the other languages. And they don't seem to increase at all after the search engine optimization, but the English and the complete numbers seem to be almost the same, which means almost all page views, or the majority of all page views, are under the English default interface. So that's actually what we've seen there, and if you show it in a different way of visualization, you see that there's something happening which we cannot explain now, but now we should look into other indicators to find out what's happening there and why there the page views are increasing, and why all the other languages, which are here shown in green, not seem to increase at all. So if I now look at another indicator, so looking at this video, I would think that only English people are coming there, or at least no one is interested in changing the language or access the Europeana in another language. But if I look at the Google localos, means from which language, Google languages are the people are coming, you see at least a bit differences, because there are the English ones, and the French users, as David already told us, are also important, but also the German ones. That means they are coming from everywhere, but something happens when they come to the portal. So here you can even see, as we saw before, that the French users are increasing. Something happened there, and then they just fall down. And in the end, you will see that they come together. There's not a huge difference anymore when we stop in May. So looking at the graph now, you will see something very different. That's not what we saw before. Let me go back. So that's why we realized that it's really important to see different indicators and combine them. So that's what's our next step. We have to combine them and find out what is actually the egg and the chicken, and what we have to improve so that users really explore and discover the system. Because it might be nice if somebody downloads or prints a PDF, but what we actually want is that people explore and discover Europeana. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So one indicator alone does really not tell the whole story. We have to look at more and at different stuff to find out what users are actually doing, and what could be the reasons why they behave like they behave. And we have to put this behavior in context. Means if we find out that French users are increasing, we have to find out why and what happened there. And that we really need to visualize these numbers to understand and find out trends, and then we can really build systems where we meet user requirements and user needs. So that's it. Thank you for your attention.